If you feel like you're doing everything you were told to do, working hard, staying disciplined, showing up even when you don't feel like it, and somehow you're still behind, this video is for you. Because the problem isn't that you're lazy, and it's not that you lack discipline, and it's not that you're missing motivation. The problem is that trying harder is exactly what the system is designed to reward. And once you see that, you can't unsee it. Most people never question effort. Effort is treated as sacred, as something inherently good, as something that automatically leads to progress. From a very young age, you're taught a simple equation: try harder, be patient, and eventually things will work out. So when life doesn't move the way it's supposed to, when the rewards don't show up, when progress feels slower than promised, people don't question the structure. They question themselves, they assume they're behind, they assume they're late, they assume everyone else has some secret they missed. But here's the uncomfortable truth: the system doesn't punish effort, it feeds on it. Think about this carefully. Effort keeps people busy. Busy people don't slow down, and people who don't slow down don't reevaluate. That's not an accident, that's design. From the moment you enter school, the message is consistent: work hard, follow instructions, meet expectations, don't ask too many questions, and if the results don't come, try harder. So you do. You stay later, you take on more responsibility, you sacrifice time, health, and attention. And when you do, you're praised. Not because it makes you free, but because it makes you reliable. Or reliability is valuable to systems. Freedom is not. A system doesn't benefit from people who step outside of it. It benefits from people who keep it running smoothly, people who show up, people who comply, people who internalize responsibility, people who blame themselves when something feels off. Here's something most people never stop to notice. The system never tells you to stop trying. It just keeps moving the finish line. Every time you adapt, expectations rise. Every time you perform better, the reward plateaus. Every time you give more, the return stays the same. At first, this feels like growth. Then it feels like pressure. Eventually, it feels like exhaustion. Not the kind of exhaustion sleep fixes. The kind that comes from misalignment. Because effort on its own is not leverage. Effort is energy. Leverage is direction. And the system is very good at redirecting your energy away from ownership and toward motion. Motion feels productive. Motion feels safe. Motion feels like progress. But motion without leverage just keeps you in place. Moving faster inside the same loop. This is where most people get confused. They think freedom comes from intensity. More hours, more grind, more sacrifice. But intensity doesn't create exits. Awareness does. Because once you understand the structure you're operating inside, your behavior changes automatically. Not emotionally, not rebelliously, logically. And let's talk about why effort is such an effective control mechanism. Effort absorbs doubt. When you're tired, you don't question the game. You don't zoom out. You don't step back and ask whether the path itself makes sense. You just focus on surviving the next week. That's why the system loves hard workers. Hard workers don't revolt. They don't reframe. They don't redesign. They comply quietly, consistently for decades. And here's the part nobody tells you. The system doesn't need to trap you. It just needs to train you to stay. Train you to associate effort with morality. Train you to associate rest with guilt. Train you to associate questioning with weakness. So when things feel wrong, you don't ask, why is this structured this way? You ask, what's wrong with me? That's the trick. And this is why so many capable people feel behind. Not because they are, but because they're playing a game that rewards participation, not freedom. If this feels uncomfortable, that's a good sign, because discomfort means something is clicking, not emotionally, structurally. And let me be clear about something. This isn't about blaming some shadowy system. This isn't about anger. And it's not about rebellion. It's about seeing clearly, because once you see the incentives, you stop fighting yourself. And when you stop fighting yourself, you finally have space to think. Most people never make this transition. They stay inside what I call the effort loop. Work. Wait, hope, repeat. And every year they're told they're closer. Closer to what? If effort alone created freedom, the hardest workers would be the freest people alive. They're not. They're usually the most exhausted. The moment things begin to change is not when you work harder. It's when you ask a different question, not how do I push more, but what is the system actually rewarding? Because systems don't reward effort, they reward alignment with incentives. Once you see that effort becomes optional instead of mandatory, and that's when leverage appears. This is why some people seem to move faster with less visible effort. It's not luck, it's not talent, it's positioning. They stop confusing effort with progress. They stop measuring success by exhaustion. They stop letting motion replace thought. At some point in life, everyone notices something doesn't add up. You see people who work harder than anyone else but never get ahead. You see others who seem to move calmly, almost quietly, and somehow advance faster. That moment creates tension. Most people resolve that tension by ignoring it. They double down on effort because questioning the system feels dangerous. But a few people do something else. They pause, and that pause changes everything. Pausing is not laziness. Pausing is perspective, and perspective is the enemy of control. That's why everything pushes you to stay busy. Notifications, deadlines, urgency, endless optimization, because a busy mind doesn't zoom out. This is the part nobody prepares you for. Once you see the structure, you can't unsee it. You start noticing how incentives shape behavior, how effort is praised but ownership is discouraged, how questioning is framed as negativity. You start seeing how the rules quietly guide choices. And once that happens, motivation becomes irrelevant because you're no longer pushing blindly. You're choosing deliberately. If you've ever felt like you're late or behind or somehow missed the memo, you didn't. The memo was never written for your freedom. It was written for your participation. And this is the most important thing I'll say in this video. You don't escape by trying harder. You escape by seeing differently. Once perception shifts, behavior follows. No hype required. No discipline speeches needed. Just clarity. That's what this channel's about. Not telling you what to do. Not selling motivation, not promising outcomes, just helping you see the structure clearly enough that you stop fighting yourself. I put everything I've learned about this into a short playbook, not tactics, not hustle advice, not guarantees, just a clear breakdown of how the system actually works and how to think differently inside it. It's linked below if you want to go deeper, no pressure. But once you see this, you won't be able to go back to trying harder the same way again.